my father looks at the bill and says, "You've got to be kidding." 20, and they were not little pieces, they were big. So he says, there's 4 of us, 4 pieces of luggage, 5 pieces for each one of us, There's barely enough. And that was on top of all the stuff we'd sent before. So anyhow, fortunately, my mother's cousin had worked for the airlines, and travel agency, and she had all the contacts with the airlines. So, but she couldn't do miracles. She said, "I can do, your first class tickets, yeah. We're going to convert them, and we're going to send you by boat on the Homeric to Canada. And you'll have very nice facilities on the boat. The parents are going to get first class accommodations, the kids are going to get economy." Which was fine by me. I'd never been on a ship in my life, except the King's ship, because I visited the King's ship. But other than that, I never said...
You visited the King's ship after he had left?
Yeah, after he left, yeah.
But did it move, or it was there?
No, it didn't move. It was.
You just visited?
I just visited. And it was in Alexandria, because I remember, I think you had to be a member to be able to get in through the palace and the whole bit. So it wasn't open to everybody. It was like selected. So anyhow, we left on the Homeric, and we ended up in Le Havre, which is where we were going to get the ship from, and the ship was 2 or 3 days late. So they put us up in a hotel. And my parents said, "Hey, no rush to get to Canada, we're going to make the best of it." So what did they do? And it's funny because my brother and his wife were just like my parents. They're shoppers. I go, I look, I take pictures. They shop. My father says, "We're going to Canada. We don't, they don't have everything there." And he goes, my mother said, "What do you mean?" He says, "The fine stuff that they have in France? Well, we're going to go shopping." So they ended up by getting several cases, and we're allowed to take it on the ship as much as we want. So they had a field day. They went and they got pâté de foie gras and brie and a huge bottle of Rémy Martin and wines and you name it. There was a case of liquors and a case of this and a case of that. We got to Canada, and customs says, what do you bring? "Oh, these are just our stuff." "No, not so fast." Not so fast. "Do you have any foodstuffs?" "Yeah." "Meats?" "Out." "Cheese?" "Okay." In those days it was acceptable. In the meantime, the brie rotted while we were so we couldn't eat it. But we had like canned asparagus, white asparagus. Hey, they didn't know from white asparagus here. Neither did we in Egypt, for that matter. We didn't have asparagus in Egypt. It grows in cold countries. But we had artichokes that were very good in Egypt. But that's another story. That's food. So we left. We arrived in Canada. And do you want to know about our arrival in Canada?
Of course.
Okay. Our arrival in Canada was we got here. First thing that we stopped at was Quebec City, and my brother says, "Oh, look, the little white things coming down from the sky." I said, "Oh, do you think that's snow?" But it's only October 21st. And in those days, it was bloody cold in Canada in October 21st. Winter started very early. And my parents said, "Listen, look at the beautiful Chateau Frontenac." The ship was moored near the Chateau Frontenac so we could go through immigration, because that's what we went through immigration. And look at the beautiful, it's very, very nice, it's a hotel. And I fell in love with it the minute I saw it. I said, this is so nice, one day I'm going to go there. And yeah, I went several times afterwards, so I was very pleased with that. And so, so we arrived here in the old port, and I think it was dock number 9, and my aunt, my grand-aunt, my mother's aunt, my uncle, and several members of the family were there to greet us and to meet the ship. And so we came, and my brother and I stayed with my grandmother for a couple of months, and my parents stayed with her aunt, for a couple of months also. They had a very nice house on Powell Avenue in TMR, and there was room, you know, it was very comfortable from that point of view, and everybody got along. In those days, everybody got along well from, you know, family-wise. They were used to staying at each other's homes, and we slept in each other's beds, and, you know, I mean, it was like, it was fluid. Families were like, you didn't say, oh no, you're staying X number of days and I've got appointments. It didn't work that way, it was fluid. Friends also, same way, it was like fluid, in and out. So, so we stayed a couple of months until my parents got an apartment in Saint Laurent. And in the meantime, for 2 months, I went to school near where my grandmother lived. My grandmother lived in a Jewish neighborhood. She, at the time, was brand new. It was Darlington Place, which was behind the Wilderton Shopping Center. And in those days, there was just Steinberg's there. The shopping center wasn't built. And so it was in the process of, it was the new neighborhood. And I went to Strathcona Academy. Shock. Complete shock. First of all, the weather. The little white flakes didn't go away. The little white flakes melted, but you know, within those 2 months, I remember there were snowstorms going to school. It was like putting on all the coats and all the jackets and the hat and this and that. You know, I mean, I was used to going to school in this kind of a setup, not Strathcona. And Strathcona was 30 boys, all Jewish.
How come?
It was a Jewish neighborhood.
But it wasn't a Jewish school.
It wasn't a Jewish school, but a lot of Jews went to Protestant schools. In those days, lots, including my rabbi. Rabbi Shushat went to Strathcona Academy. He's got the fondest memories of Strathcona. To me, it was a nightmare. Why? I was used to being catered to. I was used to having, you know, kids with fine manners. I was used to being 13, 14, 15 in class at the most. And I was used to, you know, being driven to school, being driven back, or walking to school, walking back, in good weather. And here I come, all these kids, a lot of them were immigrant parents, so they weren't brought up to be aristocrats. You know, I look, and they were Jewish on top of that. And I said, to me, I couldn't conceive, number one, of Jews not speaking French, because all the Jews in Egypt spoke French. And I couldn't conceive of Jews not being wealthy. The Jews I was surrounded by were wealthy. I couldn't conceive of them, of having an all-boys class. It was in the Catholic schools that they had all-boys class. So to me, you know, it was like, what am I doing here? So I got depressed. I didn't realize it. Now I look back, my marks went right down. The only topic I did extremely well in was French, which I beat even my teacher's hands, you know. Hey, I grew up with Molière and Comtesse de Ségur and so on. So, you know, to me, to write in all kinds of fancy ways that would impress the teachers, it was easy to do. It was like big deal. So next. And I was good at geometry and algebra, because I'd studied that in Egypt 2 years ahead before coming here, so I was ahead. To say I could become friends with all these people? No. And they were too Jewish for me. And they were all Ashkenazi. I was accustomed to be around Sephardis. And they were very nice. They really were. They were wonderful. But I was the one who was not the wonderful one. I was spoiled rotten when you look at it, you know. So that's the way it was. Then my parents moved to Saint Laurent. Breath of fresh air. The school was newer to begin with. It was a mixed school. You had Jews, you had Christians, you had different nationalities. Scots, you had Anglo-Saxons, you had different people from different parts of the world, and you had mixed classes. I didn't like being in an all-boys class. It was like not normal to me. So I was so happy.
How many years were you in Strathcona?
2 months.
Oh, sorry.
It felt like years. It felt like the end of the world. My world had come to an end. I know it's funny, but you understand where I'm coming from, but that's why you're laughing. Go ahead, laugh with me. So I get to Saint Laurent, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, you know, my teachers were from England. All right, hallelujah. You know, one was Scottish. Hey, fabulous. Home again. The picture of the Queen was up there. Hey, to me, I was happy. And my marks went right up. And I did extremely well. And unfortunately, a year after I was there, my mother died. So that was like threw everything out of kilter. Because my mother played an extremely important role in the family, in not only the immediate family, but the whole family. And so she when she died, everything went out of kilter. Matter of fact, my parents used to keep some of their friends who did not have happy marriages in Egypt, would come and consult with them all the time, and they kept them together. And when we left, their marriages fell apart from the stress. In Egypt, they just... So I came here, and a lot of things fell apart. My cousins, who were older than I was, including Eve, including Ferial, my sister, so all of them they were all older than I was. I had younger cousins too, but the ones I interacted with and so on were older, and they got married, and all their marriages fell apart. All. So I grew up with...
How long after they got married it fell apart?
How long did it take for Eve's marriage to fall apart? I think about 10 years.
You know, I never asked you the names of your brother and sister.
My sister's name is Josiane Argy, and her father's name was Kinazi, from Alexandria, and my brother's name is Larry Behar, and he lives in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. My sister lives in Lausanne in Switzerland, and she continued her Egyptian lifestyle in Lausanne and improved on it. Fortunately, they had the means to do it. But it's quite, you know, when I tell people the social events and so on that my sister put on, just to give you an idea, when her son got married, son number 2, there were 750 ex-Egyptians in Monte Carlo from all over the world. I met movie stars like Roger Moore, Ursula Andress, you name it. People I would, thanks to her, I met people I would never have dreamed of meeting. And they all assumed that I was wealthy like her because I had all the mannerisms and everything of a little aristocrat that I'd grown up as. And I would have to tell them, no, we're not. We live in Canada. We're not the same way. Even if you're wealthy, you don't show it that much. My brother is a highly successful immigration lawyer in Florida, and he's become quite wealthy, thank God. He's my pride and joy. I helped him move forwards in his career, and he was a spitting image of my father. And very, very self-reliant, very resourceful. He has my mother's diplomacy and my father's joie de vivre, number one, and also his wherewithal. He knows how to deal with people, and he knows how to, and so he deals in very high-end immigration. And so he's been very successful, and he's got a fine reputation, and he's been on TV, in radios, in newspapers, magazines. Of course, his marketing consultant's brother played a certain role, and I'm very happy he allowed me to do that in helping him evolve, because it gave me the satisfaction of seeing him evolve. It was like, it was joy. It was really good.
Must be very proud.
Yeah.
Okay. Your mom's name. And your dad.
Lillian Pardo Behar.
And your dad?
Joseph Albert Behar. Except in Egypt, it was Joseph Ibrahim Behar.
Oh, of course. Ibrahim is an Albert.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So his father's name was Albert. Abraham was his Jewish name. And by the way, we all had European names. And so my parents wanted us to have British names. My sister's Josie. I'm Robin. Why Robin? My sister named me. Why? She had a little boyfriend in school. She also went to private school from England. He was called Robin. And if you knew my sister, what she wants, she gets. Nicely or not nicely. She's going to make sure she gets it. My name was Robin. And it's great because, it was out of the ordinary, and it was fine. In Hebrew, it's Reuven. So that's my Jewish name. And my brother's name, Larry. My grandmother gave him this name after the St. Lawrence River. Yes. My grandmother used to come and visit my uncle who lived here regularly. She would spend 6 months in Egypt and 6 months in Canada or New York. When my uncle moved to Canada, she came here.
So at the time, they used to fly by plane to Canada?
Yes. Oh yeah. I think they stopped for refueling in Gander, or refueling somewhere in between somewhere. But I know there was a refueling stop.
And must be in Europe somewhere.
Yes, maybe Iceland or
no, must be Europe somewhere.
It must be. Anyhow, I know they stopped. Usually it was like it was 3 hours, 4 hours to go from Egypt to Europe, and then another 8 whatever, 9 whatever it took. But it was yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so now you arrived to Canada. Your mom passed away.
A year after we arrived, my mother was a very generous person. She was not showy. She had a certain elegance about her, and she had a certain goodness about her. And for instance, one of her hobbies was donating medications to the poor. And she took her affluence and her youth, in her youth, as being very taken for granted. It was like, that's how it was. But her nature was extremely simple. She loved her in-laws, she related very well to them, and she loved her siblings, she related very well to them too. So they were both extremely different. Her in-laws were simple, her siblings were not. They were also brought up little aristocrats, including Eve's parents. very much so. So I can say that because I have hindsight. So my mother decides to donate blood, and why? Because she was generous. There was a need for blood. She donated blood.
Here.
Here.
Is that what hurt her?
Pardon?
Why did she get sick here?
Oh, well, what happened was that she donated blood, and then 2 weeks later, or a week later, she got a cold. It was January. She died on January 27th, so it was January. And she got a cold, and then her doctor said to her, take some Dimetap. So she said...
Dimetap does what?
I suspect it killed her, because she was used to taking aspirin and stuff like that. And Dimetap was new in those days. Dimetap was anti-congestant, anti-this, anti-that. In the meantime, I read an article in the Gazette many years later that made a study of Dimetap, and they found out it caused cerebral hemorrhages. My mother died of a cerebral hemorrhage.
Oh my God.
We were told it was congenital, we were told she was getting headaches because of that, we were told, that I suspect the Dimetap, based on the studies, I suspect the Dimetap prompted it. So one day she had a cold, the next day she was gone.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah. So my whole world got...
Sorry.
Took it. My father took over. He was a really very courageous person. He rolled up his sleeves. He said, gang, that's it. So we had to. We adjusted. We moved closer to the Jewish neighborhood to be next to my grandmother. And I went from Saint Laurent High School, which was mixed. I went to Northmount High School, which was all Jewish. It was okay.
Mixed?
Mixed. No. I was so good at maths. Because I was ahead. It's not that I loved maths so much. I was ahead because, and my marks showed it, because I had taken maths in Egypt before coming here. And so I was ahead of everybody. It's like French, it was like I was ahead. So, and so they put me into an all-boys, all-math class. Again, all-boys class. I used to tell them, why are we studying all of this mathematical stuff when we should be studying home economics with the girls? They said, but this is for girls. I said, what? Do you know that everything that they're studying in home economics has practical, day-to-day, life-saving implications? And they looked at me like I was a complete weirdo.
How old were you giving
that kind of advice?
Lectures like that?
The lectures like that, I was 16. Because I'd gone through what it takes to survive without a woman in the house. My mother organized everything, My father had to take over, and he did a fabulous job. He worked, and he cooked for us. He was a fabulous cook. I used to complain about my mother's cooking, but my father, not one complaint. He was a gifted cook. My brother is also a very good cook. I'm not, but they are. I create. I took one of the books we studied and I made a play out of it, and it was so good that they had the whole school listen to it, and
At school?
In Northmount, absolutely. They were very encouraging, and they were wonderful people, great school. I didn't like it. All boys. It was like, and all Jewish. I wasn't comfortable.
That's weird.
Pardon?
Weird.
To me, it was weird. My brother, no problem. He went to Van Horn School. He grew up with them. You know, there was the Brown Derby across the street. And you know, to him, bagels and lox, oh yeah, you know, to him, it's you know, it's not so bon fumé in my book, but you know what, bagels and lox, oh, that's how he grew up, you know. And little did he know, he would end up by marrying the daughter of the owners of the Brown Derby. And who fixed them up?
You. How?
Very simple. I was at the sanctuary. I met Claire Fleischer, and in the stretching area, and she was very nice. And I said, my brother's been seeing all these girls in the States. One's a lawyer, the other one's a this, the other one's a that. They're all career women, they're American, they're not like us. And I said, my brother needs a nice Ashkenazi girl. He grew up with them, that's what he's comfortable with. And I chatted with Claire several times, and I found out, I didn't know at the time her parents owned the Brown Derby, but I found out that she had fantastic breeding. She had gone to, she knew how to sail, she knew how to horseback ride, she knew how to play golf, she knew how to this and that and the other, did ballet, did a whole bunch of stuff. And because her mother came from the Cantor family, which owned the car dealerships in Montreal, the Cadillac, Leonard Cantor and so on. It was from his father and so on. So they were in the car. So that to me, hey, you know what? My granduncle was in that kind of a business, and I knew the kind of breeding you could get from that. And I had clients in marketing who were car dealers, and I got along very well with them. And I had clients who were restaurateurs, and I got along very well with them too. So I looked at Claire and I said, gee, I really wish she would want to go to Florida one day. I'd like to introduce my brother to her. And wouldn't you know, I spoke to him about her, and he says, no, not really, no. And so I said, one day he gets invited to Elmridge to a bar mitzvah. Jerry Levy's son, who lived in Hampstead, and Jerry Levy is, do you know Doreen Green?
I know Jerry.
They all went to school together at the University of Montreal.
I dated Richard, his brother.
You're kidding me. Oh my God, what a small world. So it turned out that what a small world. So it turned out that we used to take videos a lot. And to me, my bar mitzvah gift, I said, I don't want anything, I want a movie camera. They said, a movie camera? What? It was like asking for the sky. I said, I don't want anything else. I want a movie camera. I got a movie camera. So then my brother gave me a video camera for my birthday, when videos came out. And then he takes one of the video cameras and to Jerry Levy's son's bar mitzvah at Elmridge, and he's busy zooming in on somebody. And I said, Larry, how come you're zooming in on this pretty girl? And he says to me, she's cute, huh? I said to him, yes, she's cute. I agree with you, you have good taste. And then he goes, well, I'm busy, I have a girlfriend. Okay, I said, what would you say if I told you I know Claire? He says, is that her name? I said, that's her name and I know her. Do you want to meet her? No, I have a girlfriend. I don't have two at once. Never, no. I'm faithful. I said, okay. Turned out, my neighbor down the hall was Claire's roommate.